I made a zine that, for the interest of environmental friendliness, I would ask you to access it from this link, if it's possible. I'll also show the pages on the slides. So, just let me know if it works. Okay. So basically, yeah, when I got the assignment to just give a brief introduction to my research, I'm like, oh, of course, no problem, right away. So I've I'm a grad student, I've been to N talks and X posters, and I should be able to introduce my research in the drop of the hat and make it clear as day for anyone who listens to it. And then I'm like, okay, I'll just summon my PowerPoint, and then then that's my go-to weapon for barraging my audience with my eye-dazzling multimedia, then walls of text, and I would pull out my favorite theme with the nice dark lily pond background, and I'll set the perfect tone for 30 minutes of talking about my tadpoles. Then I pull out the first blank my first blank slide, and I stare at it, and it's like, how should I start? So I've been 3 years into my PhD, and it's never gotten any easier for me. So yeah, so today I was going to present a PowerPoint presentation, but I'm like, yeah, I could do something else. So I decided to just experiment. So this presentation is more an experiment than all my other presentations. But I just like to see how I would do if I try to present my the major content of my research with just diagrams. So actually what I'll do is I will attempt to explain the concepts with a diagram, and you tell me how much you could guess with from the diagram with what I'm going to tell you afterwards, the objective explanation. So, yeah. So to start us off, I studied the development of the visual system, and the animals I work with is these guys. They're the Xanthus latus, the African cloud frog. And that's why you'll see a lot of frogs in the scene. So I'm interested in the retinotopic map of the animals, and the retinotopic map is how the visual world is represented, which part of the visual world is represented in which part of the brains. So that brings us to the first lesson, is how do we actually know what's going on in the frog's brain? So we have the frog that's looking at a little bug here. And how will we know how the brain would respond when the frog sees this little bug? So the tools that I have in our lab, the full story is that I work with the tadpoles of Xanthus latus, and what's special about these animals are they're completely transparent. Here's a picture of them. So we could literally see their brains from beneath their skins. And what we could do that way is we could put them under the microscope and image them live. And we express a kind of fluorescent protein called GCAM in these animals. And basically what they do is they would glow green whenever there's calcium influx, and that's an indication of neural activity. So basically when the neuron lights up, we'll know that it's active, and we could use that to see when the neurons are responding to the visual stimuli. So I basically give a visual stimuli to the tadpoles, so I show them something that's moving from one end of the visual field to the other end of the visual field, and I'll look at which parts of the brain activates when the stimulus is in which part of the visual field, and I would then know which part of the field is represented in which part of the brain. So here's a video. So this is let's play that again. So here's bugs that's moving from the back of the visual field to the front of the visual field, and this is what the brain looks like. So you could see an activation that's the back part of the brain would activate first, and then it'll propagate to the front end. So with that, I'll know that the back part of the visual field is represented in the back part of the brain, and the front part is represented in the front part of the brain. And that's what we call a topographic map. So it's then from the frog's brain actually files away the visual information in remarkably organized fashion. So one part of the visual field would be represented in one part of the brain, and it actually goes in orderly fashion. So like from the edge to the middle to the other edge. So basically, the neurons just arrange in a fashion that the neurons with receptive fields and with similar receptive fields would be next to each other, and the neurons that are with different receptive fields would be far away from each other. The question then is how, if you're a little tadpole and you're just growing up, so how would the neurons in your brains know where to go to, what would be the right place to go to? Like, how would it find the neurons that are similar to it and wire next to them? So this has to do with a classic concept in neuroscience called neurons that fire together, wire together. So imagine you're a frog and a bunch of other frogs, and you realize what the neurons actually do is they listen to what the neurons around it is doing, like the frog listening to what the frog around it is doing. If the neurons are firing at the same, if the neuron finds out that the neurons around it is firing at the same time as it is firing, then they are responding to the same things. They're looking at the same part of the visual field, and then the neuron would know that it's in the right place. But as in this case, the frog realizes it's croaking in a different fashion to all its neighbors. It's croaking, the neuron is firing at a different time. So in that case, the neuron would try to move away from where it currently is and go find a bunch of neurons, go try to reach the neurons that are responding in a more similar fashion to as it is. So in here, the frog is trying to look for the other frogs that have that are croaking at a similar time to as it is. So basically, that's all I want to present to you today, and I'm just wondering how much of it is actually how much we managed to get through. So I'd like to thank you for listening.